Mike Tomlin needs to be fired immediately after the season ends. Obviously, give him the respect by letting him finish out the year. But it's absolutely unbelievable that a guy, just because he's never had a losing record the head coach for the Steelers, doesn't get fired. All that tells me is ownership is worried about filling up the stadium and selling tickets, not actually winning Super Bowls. And this all comes down to the Patriots firing Bill Belichick, who won them 6 Super Bowl rings. And when he was bad, they still fired him. And then now the New England Patriots are the best team in the AFC yet again. And they have a coach that isn't Bill Belichick. You know why? Because Bill Belichick was already, behind the game's, innovation. The game changes, and Bill Belichick did it. That's why he didn't even last at UNC. Mike Tomlin, the game is changing, and he is not. He used to have an incredible defense. He doesn't anymore. He had an incredible offense with Big Ben Roethlisberger. He doesn't anymore, and he has Aaron Rodgers at the helm. It's time for Mike Tomlin to get fired, because the whole thing is, Mike Tomlin is not bad enough to land you a franchise quarterback. To go get yourself a Drake May, you're never going to have that possibility because Mike Tomlin isn't bad enough to have a 3-4 win season. He's always going to get you that 9-win season, minimum. This year, Mike Tomlin's going to end up 9-8, guaranteed. And the Steelers may or may not make the playoffs. And even if they do, they're going to lose in the first round like they do every single year. That's why you got to fire the guy and you have to rebuild. There's really nothing that you're losing out on. You don't have a franchise quarterback. You have a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers who's going to be leaving. You have, a couple pieces on the defensive side of the ball, but you're just wasting them year after year to get your 9-10 wins every single season. And right now, Mike Tomlin has been highly rated as one of the best defensive minds in football. But right now, apparently the absolutely legendary defense when Jalen Ramsey came in and all these other players were coming in. They were hyping up the defense, saying it was going to be legendary. You look at all these stats, and it's nothing but mid. Instead, there's bad history being done with the Steelers. The most rushing yards ever conceded in their home stadium under Mike Tomlin. It's time to go. It's time to go because you don't even have a great defense. You don't have a great offense. You're simply a mid team. And as well, Mike Tomlin's made a lot of bad calls. The George Pickens trade. I never understood that. The Cowboys look great offensively. They dropped 30 points against the Lions. Can't really blame, the offense for the Cowboys. The defense for the Cowboys is awful, but the offense puts up points week after week. And you put all your eggs in the basket trying to have an Aaron Rodgers type of, season, see if he could come in and make something happen because ever since Big Ben Roethlisberger retired, Mike Tomlin has been unable to develop a quarterback. That is the simple facts. Mason Rudolph, he hasn't been able to develop him. He's failed to develop Kenny Pickett. He's failed to develop Dobbs, Devlin Hodges, all of these quarterbacks that have came in. Justin Fields, young QB. He had to pivot to, veterans like Russell Wilson. Now it's Aaron Rodgers because he's unable to develop anybody. So, for one, you can't even go out and draft the number 1 quarterback in the draft class. Number 2, you can't even develop them, which means you have to have an absolute reality check and get Mike Tomlin out of there. Get yourself a franchise quarterback, and then you can finally develop them because this is a quarterback-driven league. It's no longer a defense. Back then, the Legion of Boom, that was going to win you a Super Bowl. Back then, an elite defense, the Iron Curtain, all this. Now it's the quarterback. We've seen this with the Chiefs. We've seen this, now it's just all the competitive teams have a franchise quarterback. The Patriots, they've got Drake May. It's always, if you don't have a capable QB, you're really not going to be competitive. The Rams with Stafford, that's really what it is because right now it's a cater to the quarterbacks. It's not how it used to be. And Mike Tomlin is definitely behind the times and needs to go. And even Big Ben Roethlisberger said that he should definitely, it should be a mutual understanding that both Tomlin and the Steelers would benefit from them separating because the Steelers are in purgatory. They're in the middle of the NFL. They will never be bad enough to be bad and get a top draft pick, and they will never be good enough to win a Super Bowl. They are good enough to get to the playoffs with a positive record and get blown out in Buffalo, blown out in Kansas City, blown out in Buffalo, all these places. That's what happens year after year. So it's time for him to go, 100%. But anyways, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. Do you think Mike Tomlin should be fired, or is the problem elsewhere?